Step 4, the telescope. The one I told you to buy last. After the mount, after the camera, after the filters, I finally got there. Two telescopes under £1,000 total. They're worth more than double that new. And the bigger one, the one with 200 millimeters of aperture, went in my suitcase. I'm going to show you exactly what I bought, why I chose each telescope, and what the decision looks like when you actually have real knowledge behind you. That's what step 4 is supposed to feel like. Let's get into it. In my last video, I laid out the upgrade order that nobody told me when I started Astro. You need to upgrade the mount first, the camera second, the filters third, and the telescope last of all. And only last of all, because you can't make a good telescope decision until you know what you actually want to image. I've been imaging long enough now to know exactly what I'm missing. Planetary nebulae like M57, small galaxies and planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars. My current 650mm setup can't reach these targets properly. And on the wide field side, large nebulae that don't fit in my frame without a mosaic, 6 panels for the North American Nebula, I knew I needed two things: a long focal length for small targets and a short focal length for wide field. The question was how to get both without spending an absolute fortune. And here's how I thought through that decision. 3 criteria I used: focal length, practicality, and value. The focal length first, let's talk about that. I needed something around 2000 millimeters for small targets, such as planetary nebulae, small galaxies, and planets. There's something that I've always wanted to do is get the details from those items like those targets like M57, the Ring Nebula, and so on. And so far, I just haven't been able to capture them at all. The smaller galaxies and of course details on planets such as Jupiter, etc. Something around 400 millimeters for wide field was also a good idea too, I thought. Those are fundamentally different instruments. No single telescope covers both ends well, so 2 scopes was always the plan, not impulse buying, a deliberate complementary pair. So when I got the opportunity to buy not 1 but 2 telescopes from the same person at a really, really good price when I visited home in the UK, I jumped at the chance. Okay, let's talk now about practicality. I live in Turkey, and buying astronomy equipment means waiting ages for delivery and then paying a potential customs tax. And prices are significantly higher than in the UK, maybe 2 or 3 times higher. I was visiting home. Whatever I bought needed to come back with me on a plane. That's a real constraint that shaped every decision I made. The value is the third criteria. Second hand, I think it was absolutely the right decision. The astrophotography community takes good care of their equipment. A well-maintained second-hand scope is the same instrument at a fraction of the price. Before I tell you what exactly I bought, I want to address something that genuinely surprised me when I started looking. Why does a 66mm refractor cost almost as much as a 200mm SCT? On paper that makes no sense, does it? This SCT has 3 times the aperture. It should cost 3 times as much, shouldn't it? But it doesn't. And understanding why tells you something important about what you're actually paying for. With a refractor, especially an APO doublet, you're paying for glass quality. The optical elements in a quality apochromatic refractor have to be ground to extremely tight tolerances to control chromatic aberration. That precision costs money regardless of the diameter. A 66mm APO and a 100mm APO can have similar glass costs because the precision required is the same. An SCT, like the C8, uses a completely different optical design. A folded path with mirrors. Mirrors are cheaper to manufacture at precision than glass elements. The C8 is a large aperture instrument at a relatively accessible price, precisely because of that design choice. So when you see a small refractor priced close to a much larger SCT, That's not a pricing error, that's the cost of different optical physics. Okay, so what did I actually buy? Now let me tell you. First, I bought a Celestron C8. It was a vintage model with Starbright coatings, 200mm aperture, and 2000mm focal length at f10. It cost me £450 second hand. New in the UK, it would be around £1,400, and in Turkey potentially £2,000 or more, and a long wait to get it as well. This is a long focal length instrument, M57, small galaxies, planets, everything my current setup can't reach will become imageable with this instrument. So I'm really excited to get to use this telescope. But first of all, let me just go into a few more details. The C8 also came with a Bahtinov mask, a tri-Bahtinov mask, and a visual diagonal and back piece for visual use. So the other advantage is that I can use it both for visual or for imaging by simply changing a few connections at the back. The reason for the two Bahtinov masks is to check collimation and to check focus, which is a little bit different from what I've been doing with my reflector until now. That's for another video. Good accessories for a scope were included then, and this makes the deal even better, even sweeter. I also bought an f6.3 focal reducer for the C8, which was £165 brand new. That brings the focal length down to around 1260mm at a focal ratio of 6.3, significantly faster. Step 4, upgrading your telescope. This is the step that I told you to buy last. After the mount, after the camera, after the filters. The second telescope that I bought is a William Optics Zenithstar 66mm APO doublet, or is that APO? I paid £300 for it second hand. But here's what made the deal exceptional. The seller, Chris, thank you, included a focal reducer, a solid aluminium carry case, a small Bahtinov mask, and now I'm left thinking that new, something comparable would cost around £1,000. This is my wide field instrument, large nebulae, wide star fields, everything that doesn't fit in the C8's frame. Now let's talk about getting the telescopes home. The Z66 came in its own solid aluminium carry case, which made it perfect for hand luggage. The C8, 200mm of aperture, the biggest of the two telescopes that I bought, needed to be wrapped carefully, and so I wrapped it carefully and put in my suitcase as hold luggage. The bigger telescope went in the hold, the smaller one went in the cabin. This is actually the recommended way to transport a C8. The optical tube is remarkably compact for its aperture size, one of the genuine advantages of the SCT design over a Newtonian reflector of equivalent aperture. A 200mm Newtonian would never fit in a suitcase. The C8 did, well protected, and arrived without a scratch. One more thing, after I ordered the f6.3 focal reducer for £165, the next day Chris mentioned he'd spotted it for just £70 second hand. You can't win them all, can you? So what does this system actually give me? 3 distinct focal lengths from 2 telescopes. 400mm with the Z66 for large nebulae, wide star fields, the targets that never fit in my frame before. 1260mm with the C8 and reducer, mid-range deep sky, smaller galaxies, and versatile general imaging targets. At 2000mm with the C8 in native format, I can image now planetary nebulae, the smallest galaxies and planets. All of these I couldn't image at all in any detail before. That's a genuinely versatile system now, and I could only have made these choices with real knowledge of what I wanted to image and on the upgrade ladder, which is exactly what step 4 of the upgrade ladder is supposed to deliver. If you've just completed the upgrade ladder yourself, or you're working your way through it, I put together a free imaging checklist and a guide to 50 must-image nebulae, including targets perfectly suited to the focal lengths we've been talking about today. Both are free at astroimagery.com/get cheat sheet. The link is in the description below as well.